So we haven't done Eon Flux. Give us some
Flux.
Charlize Theron then.
Staggeringly badly reviewed in America, which Charlize Theron attempts to save the world, the futuristic world, from a dynasty who are repressing people's freedoms, blah, 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 blah. The New York Post says, by far the worst movie of the year. The Atlanta Journal says, as much fun as acid reflux. Boom, and if you will. And several people have pointed out that it is to Oscar winner Charlize Theron what Catwoman was to Halle Berry. Cost $55 million, took, I think, $25 million or something like that in the States, so it is officially a thumbs down from everybody. Can it possibly be as bad as everyone says? Well, the bad news is that in the future, most of the Earth's population has been wiped out. The few remaining Earth population now live in terribly repressive society in which they have no freedom of thought, no freedom of action, no freedom of movement, and ruled over by a dynasty. So that's all bad. The good news is, however, that they all appear to get their clothes from the Skin 2 online catalogue with a little bit of underwear thrown in by agent provocateur. And even when they are punching each other in the face, they remember to wear high heels because, hey, it's important that your butt looks good whilst you are fighting the revolution. So, hey, it's not all bad in the future. Second thing is, this is the second movie this month to star Charlize Theron and Frances McDormand. The other one is North Country, which starts out terribly worthy and then takes a real nosedive and is awful after that. And there's a really unintentionally funny bit when they drag Frances McDormand into court in a wheelchair in a moment which is meant to be I, Spartacus, but is like, I don't believe it. This is more fun than North Country. It's like The Matrix, but with the cleverness taken out. And that's a lot of cleverness to take out.
Who's Eon Flux?
She's Eon Flux and her sister... Eon? She's Eon Flux and her sister is Uma. Or Una, or Onki.
Well, that's stupid as well.
It's completely... So they're all called things like Throng and Hibbit and Padang. It's like Lord of the Rings. And the plot doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Also, the plot is that it's yet another movie that the plot is ripped off Robert Fiveson's The Clonus Horror. Remember we had The Island recently, that Ewan McGregor movie, in which they said, from an original script by... It's not original at all. It just took the Robert Fiveson movie that cost less than $1 million and remade it for $55 bazillion and made it into a stupid movie that was twice as long and had more glitzy effects. Well, this is the same film. If you don't see the end result coming, it's simply because you were too busy looking at everybody's bottoms running around in latex. I mean, it is stupid. It's laugh out loud stupid. The question of how much it knows that it's stupid is really the issue. I don't believe that anyone is taking it seriously, particularly not Pete Postlethwaite, who turns up at the end dressed
He's not in latex, is he?
No, he turns up dressed as a worm. Everyone else gets to wear this really cool bondage gear and run around like dominatrixes. And then Pete Postlethwaite comes up and he's literally dressed up as a great big worm.
I'd rather him dressed as a worm than in latex, frankly.
I don't know, there's that quite interesting movie in which Pete Postlethwaite runs around Pylands without
Cheesecake
any clothes
or beefcake?
Oh, but he's definitely cheesy cake, yes. The older cheesecake. But anyway, so it's...
Older cheesecake?
Older cheesecake. It's directed by Karen Kusama.
What a horrible thought.
Yes, but I like Pete Postlethwaite, although he's bad in The Constant Gardener. And he does his best here. The woman who directed this directed Girl Fight, which was actually quite an interesting movie. This has no directorial stamp on it whatsoever. It's based on a cartoon serial, which I haven't seen, but I imagine the cartoon serial makes some more sense than this does. But it's absolute rubbish. But it's entertaining enough rubbish. It's quite short. It's visually a whole bunch of riffs taken from The Matrix. Sophie Okonedo is on screen for a very little time, which is a bit of a shame because she's really great. Charlize Theron manages to keep a dead straight face, which she really has to be given some credit for. But it's total nonsense. But it's more fun nonsense than North Country.
Seems a long way from Monster, then, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's I think one of the reasons that it's happened is that her agent said, you know what, Charlize, in Monster, you look really sort of craggy and ugly, and in North Country, you look really craggy. We should do a movie that says, hey, look, she looks really great in Lycra. I mean, that's the whole point of the film. The camera chasing people around in Lycra going, look how well they've been trained. They must have really worked out their abs and their dabs and their bits and their bots, It's a bodybuilding movie in latex.